Before you jump in to designing business cards, figuring out logos, and all that fun visual stuff that becomes part of your studio brand, there are key components that you need to get in place. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We are going to be talking about what are those essential steps that we need to take before we send off that business card to the printer. So if you are joining me, please be sure to say hello. I love to see who's popping into the broadcast. We've got some really great things set up for you guys today. So let's play around with this topic for a second here. Hey there, Pete. Pete's tuning into the broadcast. Nice to see you this morning. Why is this important? Okay. I see a lot of teachers who jump right in to the process of creating a business card, getting a logo designed, maybe even starting a website or getting into some kind of a social media plan where they're trying to create consistency. All of these things are fabulous, super fabulous. However, if we skip the steps that need to come before, then we might find ourselves wasting our time and effort. Because while those visual aspects of a brand are super important, we need to get the foundations in place before we get really excited about designing things in Canva. And y'all know that I love Canva. So, hey, good morning. I see Jill is tuning in from Texas and Karen is tuning in from St. Louis. Brenda is here. Good morning. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Phyllis. Good to see you all. So today we're going to be talking about the foundational aspects that need to happen before we get into designing the visuals of our studio brands so that we can reach the clients that we can help the most. Because if we don't have those foundations in place, then our messaging can fall flat and we're not going to get the response. We're not going to get the conversions that we need to really connect with those ideal clients, those students who you know that you can help. So that's what we're chatting about today. Hey, yay, nice to see you, Brian. Canva can be an addiction, 100%. Deborah's saying she loves Canva and so does Phyllis. I think we got a lot of Canva users here. All right, so before we get into the goods, let's take just a second to do a quick housekeeping. I wanted to let you all know that I am trying my best to make sure that the Savvy Sara bot, thanks guys for the name last week, you guys figured that out, that the Savvy Sara bot is 100% compliant with ManyChat and Facebook. So there's going to be a thing that I'm going to ask you to do today. It's a super simple step to make sure that you can get one-time notifications for when I go live here on Wednesdays. So that's going to be part of the things that the bot is going to send out today. So if you sometimes forget to comment on the videos with the keywords, don't forget to do that today, or you risk not getting these links in the future. So I just want to let you know that the bot is set up today with a way that you can double opt in for these notifications so that you never miss out on the goodness that happens here on Wednesdays. So if you give me a notify below, you're going to get show notes from today. You're going to get good stuff, right? But you're also going to get steps so that you can actually notify or opt into the notifications so that you don't miss out on the good stuff that happens every single week. All right, so that's my little housekeeping. Let's get into today's topic. What we're talking about is how we can get essential branding techniques in place and foundations in place before we send that beautiful business card off to the printers, because these are key steps and I see people missing these steps all the time. All right, I see lots of notifies popping into the chat below. That's awesome. Yay. If you guys are new here to the broadcast, welcome. My name is Sara Campbell, and I am a business and mindset strategist for music studio owners and online music education experts just like yourself. And I go live here every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about all the topics that are important to you. We talk about business and different business strategies that we can use in our studios. We talk about the mindsets that we need to get in place for when we have to face the tough stuff. And of course, we talk about marketing and branding, because those are two of my absolute favorite topics. And I should mention, hey, for those lovely people who are here right now, if you know of a teacher friend who could benefit from these weekly broadcasts, please be sure to let them know about it. That would be the best thanks that you could ever give. All right, so let's get to it, guys. We love to learn out loud. When you hear something today that's resonating with you and you're going to put those steps into place, I want you to give me a hashtag takeaway and then let me know what was valuable to you. What was the tip that really resonated? What made you go, oh yeah, I totally need to do that for my studio. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, Phyllis, this is a great point. I see people using business cards less and less now, well, especially now since we're mostly online. But we're going to talk about some of the other visual aspects, what those online business cards look like. I love it. Notified on the way in. Sweet. Thank you, Pete. That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so we're getting to 3 keys to building your brand. And one of these keys you already know about, the visuals, right? Because that's what we always jump to. We jump to that immediately because that's what we see, right? That's what we see. That's what we touch. That's what we first witness when we go to somebody's website. You know, we experience it, the colors and the fonts and the pictures and all that good stuff. But there are key steps that we need to get in place before we get to that. So I'm going to bring up a little image here for you all. Here we go. There we go. So we got this little guy here, right? So the red circle that we see on the outside, brand execution, this is the stuff that we see, right? It's the website, it's the business card, it's the flyers, it's the tote bags, it's the t-shirts that you had made for your students. All of those things are part of the brand execution, and that is the outer circle. That's what we see when things are finished. But the problem is that we often forget the 2 circles that are inside, and these 2 circles are really essential to building a solid brand. Why? Okay, you're thinking, okay, why are those essential? It has nothing to do with my business card, but it does. So when we get these 2 inner circles in place, then the brand execution has more support and it's going to resonate better with those that you are trying to reach. So let's go through those steps today. So we have the brand execution on the outside. That's our last and final step. Inside the very first circle, right? I'll bring that back up. The very first circle is the brand positioning. And we need to have our brand positioning in place. So what the heck does that mean? So brand positioning, in a nutshell, is what allows you to stand out. It's what makes you unique as a music studio. And it's going to help you position yourself so that when a client comes to your website, when a client sees you on social media, when they, when they get that business card or they see that flyer, they are going to be hearing messages that resonate directly with them. They are going to understand what makes you unique as a studio, what you offer, the benefits of what you offer. These benefits, they're going to understand those benefits and how they can directly help them. So when we're establishing brand positioning, some of the things that come along with this step, right? It's first off figuring out what makes you unique as a business, how you can offer that to people, what are the benefits of those unique things, and learning how to communicate that clearly with your ideal clients. So that brand positioning might look like a unique value proposition statement. You'll hear me say UVP statement, right? A UVP statement. It can show up in our brand promise. It can show up in our mission statement. It can show up in all of these things that really come together and show your ideal clients who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them. So really getting clear on the brand positioning is the first step that we need to get in place. Hey there, Dawn. Nice to see you tuning in this morning. Okay, so if you have done some brand positioning work in the past, I want you to let me know here down below. If you've worked on UVP statements, if you've got a mission statement, if you've figured out your brand promise, let me know. If you haven't worked on those things, that's okay. That's what we're here to talk about today. So that's our first step, right? Making sure that we have brand positioning aspects in place. And once we have those in place and we get clear on those, the next step in developing your brand, this is one of my favorite steps. And this ties into things that we've been talking about in recent weeks, brand personality. Oh, and boy, I've been thinking about this particular aspect a lot. And I know that, it took me time as I was I'm working with a fabulous web designer right now, and he designed that really fancy, cool logo that you see up there. That was one of the first steps that happened after we worked on brand positioning and brand personality. But he had to know before he could design that cool logo, he had to know about what kind of personality did I want this brand to have, right? What are the descriptive words that I want people to think of when they think of Savvy Music Studio or when they think of Sara Campbell? So I got to go through some pretty sweet exercises. Brian set me up with some great exercises because he's a brand developer. And it took me a few hours to fill out all of the forms, but I had 6 pages of documents when I was done that helped me through the brand positioning and the brand personality and helped me get really super clear about how I wanted that brand to be perceived. So we're going to talk about that in a little here. I'm going to bring up some of the comments. Jill says that she has worked on some brand positioning, but it doesn't seem to fit anymore. That is a common thing that happens. I know that has happened to me several times in the past. I have redone UVP statements for my studio. I've redone them here for coaching. We have to revisit these, right? Because what happens over time is that your ideal client will shift. Not always, but many of us find that our ideal clients shift over a period of time. I'll give an example. So I used to focus primarily on young piano students. And that's how I got into, blogging about summer camps and all of the opportunities that I offered my studio, the workshops and the fun things. Then I started to make a shift. I found myself in a place where I love teaching piano, but I wasn't teaching voice as much as I wanted to. And so I took a step back and thought, all right, what is it about my brand that is not communicating that I'm a voice teacher? So I had to revisit my brand position. I had to revisit the personality so that I could start to attract the type of vocalists that I wanted in my studio. And once I visited those things, then I could think about how am I going to execute those things? How am I going to get that out there to people? If this resonates with you, let me know right now. Give me some hearts and some thumbs up, and let me know if you've ever felt, you know what? Kind of feel like I want to shift that ideal client. I see that Phyllis is saying that she's a Suzuki teacher, and so that is part of her brand positioning. Brian Tarr says, I am down with UVP. Awesome. And Heather, her branding is changing a bit too. Yeah, Heather, you and I have talked about that. That ideal client has shifted, and it's exciting. It can be scary and exciting when we make those realizations. And when we do make that realization, we have to, like I said, pause, take a step back, and revisit some of that branding so that we know that the website, the socials, the business card, the flyers are actually going to be attracting the right people. So, yay. Pete says he just had an inquiry from an ideal client, helped to remind me what I love to teach. Isn't that awesome when you have that, connection with that ideal client? You go, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. So coming back into this, right? Coming back into brand personality. We're looking at where this is in the chart, right? We have the brand position, and then we have the brand personality. So once we figure out what that position is, who you're working for, what you offer them, what the benefits are, all these unique things about you, then we need to think about how is that going to be executed. Sorry, I shouldn't have used that word because that's the next step. How are we going to express that personality in your brand? And this is where we've got to really tap into who you are as a teacher. This is why it's important. You guys hear me preach this all the time. You need to show up in your brand. If you haven't shown up in your social media posts, if we don't get a clear idea of who you are as a teacher in a post, then clients, or I should say potential clients, aren't really going to connect with you. So we need to visit, what do we want that brand personality to be like? Is it going to be very professional? Is it going to be kind of like white and gold and black, and like thinking like of the colors that might associate with that personality? If it's bright, if it's bubbly, if it's friendly, if it's energetic, if it's serious. There are all different types of descriptors that we can come up for our brand. So when we're coming up with that, we need to like sit down and think, okay, how do we want this to be perceived? What is going to resonate with my ideal client? And hopefully what we do is we find a match between those two things, right? We find a match with what you offer, who you want to offer it to, and how you're going to offer it. And this, Phyllis says, this is where I'm still figuring out. Pete, not showing up. Guilty. I'm calling you out. Dawn says, I'm a voice, piano, guitar teacher in that order, but find more piano students in choir. Would love to get more voice students. Yeah. It's finding it hard to teach while this is all on my mind. Ooh, yeah. So it's time to dig deep there, Jill, and figure out the answers to some of these things, right? Because when we ignore them, right? When we ignore these things, what ends up happening is that we just fall back into old habits. And we're just going to accept whatever inquiry comes along our way, instead of knowing and trusting that if your brand positioning and if your brand personality are aligned, that you're going to get those ideal clients. You just have to wait a little bit longer. So once we have the positioning and the personality figured out, then we can move on to the execution. And like I said at the top of the broadcast, this is the step where people normally jump into right away, right? They're like, oh, I need to pick out a logo. I need to pick out something else, blah, blah, blah. Those things are important, but if we don't have those other two things in place, then the execution is not going to work. Heather says, same, at least not showing up consistently. I'm trying to figure out how to get it all done. I hear you. And that's where we need to get clear about strategy, right? About marketing strategy and what it looks like, how you can show up without exhausting yourself, and getting really clear about these are the ways that I show up. That's definitely a topic for another day. I love that one. All right, so let's get to the third step, right? Brand execution. So when we see we revisit the circle, right? We have the brand positioning, we have the brand personality, and then we have the brand execution. The execution is where we get into the visual stuff, right? Hey, and Jessica says, guilty. I love the visual stuff. 100%. I totally get it. But I will say this. If you love the visuals, you're going to love them even more if you take the time to get the essential steps and foundations in place first. What you'll find is when you have those things in place, when you start getting into that execution and figuring out the colors and the fonts and the logos and all of the, the visual things that come along, and then the verbal things that come along. What's the website copy going to be like? What tone am I going to use in those social media posts? What are the quotes that I can pick out that will resonate with my clients? When we have those inner circles in place, then the outer circle, the execution, becomes so much clearer. Have you ever had to redo your logos a few times? So the finished result that you see there, that was after 5 rounds of figuring out what we wanted that logo to be. And yes, now that's just for the coaching logo, but let me speak to the logo that I had created for my music studio. I in doing this branding, I actually took some time over the summer. I sat back and I looked at all the different logos my studio has had over the years. And I had, I think, four logos total. And yes, I did redo the logos. I started out, with one very simple logo design. It didn't really, it just had Sarah's music studio on it. It was just a font with maybe a treble clef on it. And then, yeah, I did work on then thinking, okay, is this attracting the right people? And then made a new logo. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to get a new, I want to get a professional logo done. And so that was over a period of years. I started out with simple text logos and then creating a little visual. And then I hired, what did I use? I used a service called Design Crowd, and I had people submit designs to get hired to do the final design for the studio. So yeah, Phyllis, I have done it. I have been there and redone logos and just finished redoing one recently. Jessica says, oh, I'm terrible about copy. Copy is hard. Friend, I feel you. That is why I have a coaching call that I get to attend tonight with Kristen Coffey Rondo from the Speakeasy Cooperative, because she's going to help me with some copy. I've got my copy written, but I need an extra set of eyes, and she's my favorite pair of eyes. All right. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So the brand execution is going to show up in a lot of different ways. It's going to show up in your visuals. It's going to show up in the verbal aspects of your brand. And just to reiterate, let's go through the 3 steps real quick about why these are important. If these are resonating with you guys, I would love to know, here's the big question, which one of these steps do you feel like you need to spend time with right now? Let's do our recap and let us know which one of these steps you need to start focusing on. All right, so quick recap here. When we are trying to build a solid brand so that we can attract the clients that we love the most, it is essential that before we get to designing that logo or designing that business card, we sit down and we think about the foundations that need to be in place. Because that outer circle, the execution, is the one that we want to jump to instantly. However, we need to get the 2 inner circles in place first. We need to sit down and think about our brand positioning, right? We need to think about what makes us unique as a studio. What do we offer? Who do we work with? What are the benefits that they can receive if they work with us? We need to get those unique positioning statements in place so that we can really communicate clearly and focus in on the niche that we want to attract. That's our first step. Once we get those steps in place, we think about the brand personality. How do we want that brand to show up? What will resonate with our ideal clients? What will be a good match for us as individuals, right? We wouldn't want to pick a brand personality that's not going to jive with who you are as a person. That would feel icky, right? We talk about awesomeness here on the broadcast all the time. It's learning who you are and what makes you amazing as a teacher, and being able to show up authentically as that in your business. When we get the awesome you and the authentic you together, then we get that awesomeness, and that's how you show up. I see Phyllis is saying number 2, Jill saying number 1, Jessica number 1, Brian says number 1 for me too, Janet says number 2. So we're getting those things in place, right? We're getting our positioning and our personality in place, and then we can move on to the brand execution. Then we can dive into the visuals and the verbal aspects of branding that are going to show up on our websites and our social media and all of those beautiful places. But if we don't have those other 2 things in place, this step becomes hard, because then you are having to make decisions that don't make sense, right? But if we have number 1 and number 2 in place, then when we get to number 3, it gets to be really fun. All right, so there we go. That is today's broadcast. Oh my gosh, Jill, thank you for saying this. She says, I have been a marketing director in my early career, but it is hard to let that go because it is part of me. But it is easy to do this for others and not so much for myself. Jill, 100%. That's why I have worked with coaches and strategists, and that's why I hired Kristen to take a look at my copy tonight, because sometimes when we're just doing this by ourselves, right, we don't get the feedback that we need in order to feel confident with our choices. And that is why I do a lot of work with my clients on branding. That is also why I'm relaunching the Branding Bootcamp. It's going to start on October 9th. It is a group coaching experience. It's got limited spaces in it because I want to make sure that every single person who attends gets a lot of personal attention. We meet 6 times on Zoom. We've got weekly classes. We've got a private Facebook group. And I am going to be launching the enrollment tomorrow. That would be Thursday, the 17th. So if you are interested in getting a hold of that information and learning more about Branding Bootcamp, if you want to give me a notify below, then I'm going to say that name wrong for a while. The Savvy Sara bot will send you information here in Messenger. And the email list is going to be how I first open that enrollment. So make sure that you're on that. Janet says Branding Bootcamp totally rocks. Janet, I was so happy to have you in the Branding Bootcamp last spring. It was amazing. Oh, Keely, great question. So Keely has a question here. I'm going to answer that and then we'll do our wrap up. Keely, what are you using to have the graphics on your screen live? Keely, I am using something called Ecamm. Ecamm is my favorite, and it is for Mac users only. Sorry if you're a PC, but there are other third-party platforms that you can use. The other one that I highly recommend is called Be Live. So that's what I'm using here to be all fancy. Laura says, do the boot camp. I loved it and learned so much. Awesome. Very good. So if you do want to get a hold of that, if you give the information, if you give me a notify below, the Savvy Sara bot will send you 3 things today. She is going to send you a quick recap from today's notes, right? So that you can remember those items that we went over today. She's going to send you a way that you can opt into the notifications for this broadcast so that you don't miss out. And then she will also send you a link to join the email list if you have not already gotten on that. Thank you, Robin. Robin was also in our spring branding bootcamp. It only runs twice a year, so you got to jump on it fast. All right, so thank you so much for showing up today. I really appreciate you being here. If you missed the top of the broadcast, my name is Sara Campbell, and I am a business and mindset strategist for music studio owners and online education experts just like yourself. You can find me live here every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and where we talk about all of the things that will help you become a savvy music studio owner. All right, we will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for being here. In the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you're pretty dang awesome and there's no teacher just like you. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.